Well, there goes another one.
Another one bites the dust.
I think it goes without saying that Star Wars is in a wee bit of trouble right now. With the release of the disastrous Acolyte show, the downward spiral of The Mandalorian, as well as the Ahsoka show, and their ever-growing list of cancelled projects, this honestly probably marks one of the worst times this franchise has ever experienced. The upcoming Rey film is another hot topic right now, and I found myself becoming ever more curious about it because of the amount of trouble that seems to be going on behind the scenes. I mean, this film is utterly plagued with delays and exits, and there isn't even a finalised script yet. I mean, they probably can't, what with all the writers fleeing the writer's room as if they're saving themselves from a burning building. What's the difference, am I right, lads? Ha ha ha. The film was first announced at the 2023 Star Wars Celebration with Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, a feminist documentary filmmaker, attached to direct it. Daisy Ridley is set to reprise her role as Rey. Originally, Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson were signed on to co-write it, but they eventually left the project, with Stephen Knight coming in as the writer. However, in October of 2024, it was reported that Stephen Knight has apparently left the project. Honestly, how many writers can one film lose? Not to mention a film from one of the most famous franchises in the world. I think there's something we're not seeing here, lads. Stephen Knight is better off, honestly. He needs to go do that Peaky Blinders film with Mr. Cillian Murphy. In any case, not much is known about this film other than it will be directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. It will be set after the events of Rise of Skywalker, and it will apparently centre on Rey becoming a Jedi Master. No script has been finalised, no further casting announcements have been made, and the writers keep dropping out of the project faster than Mrs. Doyle bringing out the pots of tea.
Tea, Father.
Oh, mighty Mrs. Doyle. What are you doing up?
Oh, I always stay up, Father, in case one of you needs a cup of tea.
Actress Daisy Ridley revealed in an interview that she agreed to do the film, even though she never read any finished script. She just knew the general outline of the story, and apparently that was enough to get her on board. She stated that, "I feel like the new ones will be so interesting. Time has passed, and a lot has changed for me personally, so it'll be interesting to come back to someone who I know so well, but in such a different moment." Yeah, whatever that means. Well, they must have had a lot of zeros on that check. I don't blame her in the slightest. If I was in her position, maybe I would do the same. Actually, scratch that. I definitely would do the same. I don't know about you, but I seem to remember how the last solo spin-off film seemed to go. I have a bad feeling about this one, let me tell you. Rey is probably what you see when you look up mistake in the dictionary. Seriously, I think that whole arc of hers, or more specifically, lack thereof, needs to be studied in film class. Rey is the result of truly terrible writing, and I don't understand why Lucasfilm can't grasp that. On top of all that drama, recently information came to light about a new trilogy coming out. Possibly the 50th Star Wars project that has been announced with trumpets and thunderous applause by Lucasfilm. This new trilogy will be directed by Simon Kinberg, maker of the X-Men films, and are supposed to make up episodes 10, 11, and 12 of the Skywalker saga. And yes, Rey will be in them because apparently she is the shining beacon of light that will continue the Skywalker story. And if that's not enough, according to The Hollywood Reporter, a source said, she is the most valuable cinematic asset in some ways, maybe the only one Star Wars has right now. Pardon me, Rey is the most important asset of the Star Wars universe. What planet are you living on? First of all, no. Just no to all of that. Second of all, that's at least 4 films now where she's apparently going to make an appearance.
So that's worse.
In what world is this boring character the most important asset of Star Wars? Where is this coming from? How tone-deaf can you be? I would argue that Baby Yoda is a far more important asset than Rey ever will be. Tell me I'm wrong. And what will she be doing exactly? Becoming a grouchy elderly fart who hangs around with birds? Becoming the next great Sith villain, perhaps?
Blow that piece of junk out of the sky!
You're still holding on!
Let go!
Honestly, a Rey villain arc is a story I would sign up for in a heartbeat. Anything would be better than the slop that we got in the sequel trilogies. Look, I'm going to say it. She should have either turned into a villain or gotten killed off in episode 9. End of story. That's my take on it. Genuinely though, why are Lucasfilm so obsessed with bringing her back to the films? Her arc is finito. Remind me again why she's so important.
Rey Skywalker.
No, okay, shut up for a second. Your turn hasn't come yet. Just let me do my bit and then you can yap away about your faux heritage. Okay?
You're a monster.
Yeah, I get that sentiment a lot. Get over yourself already. And look, before you come after me and say I'm being mean, I want to make myself clear. In no way, shape, or form am I hating on the actor. Everything I say is directed towards the character and the way she has been written. I make it my business to criticize the writers and filmmakers, not the actual actors. And to be honest, I quite like Daisy Ridley, and I think she is a very underrated and underappreciated performer. She hasn't seen a lot of success since the Star Wars films, and it's a real shame. It's not her fault that the role that shot her to fame and stardom is also quite honestly her biggest downfall. I feel bad for her. She deserves far better than whatever Lucasfilm are offering. And now, it's also been revealed that the Rey film has been removed from the December 2026 release schedule.
I thought as much.
Plot twist. It has in fact been replaced by, wait for it, Ice Age 6. Yep, you heard that right. Ice Age 6. Is Disney finally listening to reason? I mean, with the amount of flops they have had over the last few years, surely they know that this film will just mean a $500 million loss for the company. Perhaps even more. Can they really afford that? Like, really? So following the exit of yet another writer and the loss of its release date, it looks less likely that the Rey film will go into production anytime soon. And now rumours have also surfaced that the Rey film has been quietly cancelled by Lucasfilm. I mean, I sure hope it's been cancelled. If that were the case, it would prove that Lucasfilm are finally realising that bringing this character back was a big mistake. Even though she was supposed to be the main character of the new trilogy, the new Luke, the new Anakin even, Rey never had an arc. She didn't have to learn anything. Everything was handed to her on a silver platter. Literally, that lightsaber flew into her hand without any struggle or effort. And that's why she's not a good character. And look, I'll be honest, I liked her at the time. When I was younger and seeing the first Star Wars film released since 2005 in the cinema, I was naively blown away by the spectacle of it all. I wanted to like it so bad, and it was exciting seeing it on the big screen. So much so that for the longest time I chose not to see the glaringly obvious copycat elements. The Force Awakens is basically A New Hope, but with a female Luke Skywalker. The realization didn't cut deep until the release of that mutated abomination known as The Last Jedi. If there is one thing I'm grateful for about that film, it's that it showed me what a dear, awful mess Lucasfilm were, and how they truly view the Star Wars franchise. I mean, come on. They hated it, and they still hate it. They hated it so much they were willing to let Rian Johnson do his own thing and disrespect the original characters as well as ruin the new character arcs that had already been established. He took Luke Skywalker and decided to make him into a moody, naggy old man who sulks in his rocky hut on Skellig Michael. In other words, that was the day I lost all respect for Lucasfilm and Disney. I could go on and on, but you get the point. The Last Jedi for me was a point of no return. Everything about the new story and characters that had been hyped up so much was ruined in my eyes, and I found myself longing for the days of the prequels. Especially after the rise of Skywalker. I am and will forever be a defender of the prequels, more so now than I ever was. So, it's been a year already since the Rey film was officially announced, but since then there has been no real news, except the part about the writers leaving, and the film losing its release date. What exactly is going on with Lucasfilm? Are they getting cold feet about the project already because they realised it was nothing more than a big fat mistake? I sure hope so, but in my opinion, as long as Kathleen Kennedy is in charge, she is not going to back down on this film. That is unless the higher execs at Disney have absolutely no choice but to wipe it off the face of the planet before it ever sees the light of day. I mean, let's face it, no one asked for this film. No one likes the character of Rey and no one is going to spend their money to go see it. The only great thing about her character was her musical theme, because John Williams never fails to live up to anyone's expectations. The point is, Rey didn't do anything to deserve the title of Jedi, let alone a Jedi Master. So it's absolutely ridiculous that they're going down that path for the solo film. She had no real struggles in comparison to the likes of Ahsoka Tano, Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan. The list just goes on. There is no real reason why anyone should root for her as a Jedi or even as a character. And to be quite honest, I was actually more interested in the possibility of who she was connected to rather than as a character. No, guys, I am not kidding. I theorized for hours, days, weeks, months over whether she was secretly the daughter of Han Solo or Luke Skywalker, or even a granddaughter of Obi-Wan Kenobi. That theory was actually my favourite, and it would have made sense had they got along with it, but they didn't. So in the end, all my theorizing was for nothing, and for one simple reason. Disney didn't care. As much as they love to talk about their awesome and amazing female characters, they seem awfully reluctant to actually do anything creative with them. Apparently, the only reason we are supposed to like Rey is because she's a woman who uses the Force, and she's super badass, and she needs someone to train her in anything because she already knows it and she can do it by herself. That's it. So what is it exactly with Lucasfilm and their treatment of Rey? Laziness? Lack of creative storytelling abilities? Were they actually all working towards a good vision of a great Star Wars story with a version of Rey that was actually compelling, but when push came to shove, it just all fell apart? Disney had the potential to create new characters that were connected to the original ones we all knew and loved, and have them pass on the torch to the younger generation. There was nothing wrong with that idea, and they could have gone with it. But no. They killed off the original characters just so they could replace them with these new, vastly underdeveloped characters. Of course, Carrie Fisher has sadly passed on, and what Lucasfilm did with her character up until then wasn't completely disrespectful, I will admit, but that force flying thing really wrecked my head. Unfortunately, the characters of Han Solo and Luke were absolutely butchered and disrespectfully killed off. And for what? For what? Okay, I'm sorry, I'll calm down. So, with that being said...
Who are you? Rey Skywalker.
No, Rey. You are not a Skywalker. You are a Palpatine, or whatever your €50 saliva DNA kit has told you. Look, you are just some sad orphan with abandonment issues who's angry that your grandfather happens to be a pathetic, weak clone of an actually awesome evil emperor, who, by the way, died in the shaft of the Death Star 30 years ago after being pushed down by Anakin Skywalker in a last-ditch attempt to redeem himself, and was definitely not resurrected by some dark side hocus pocus. I don't care what story you want to spin, JJ, we have not been fooled, we see right through you, so please, shut up. I'm joking, I'm sure he's a very nice man. But I think the problem with their character didn't lie solely with J.J. Abrams or Rian Johnson, although I admit that the latter was quite possibly one of the worst, if not the worst choices in director Disney has ever made. Everything he touched was just utterly banjaxed to the point of oblivion. Here's hoping that proposed Rian Johnson trilogy just stays hidden under the pile of dirty coffee cups and pencil shavings, and eventually, accidentally, gets shredded alongside the rest of the unfinished, bogus screenplays Disney are trying to convince us they are working on. No, the problem with Rey lies with this overall view that seems to be held by the people running Disney and Lucasfilm, which is that she is just an empty replacement for Luke. That's it. They wanted to create a perfect, idealistic character who is better than Luke or Anakin in every single way possible. Kathleen Kennedy oversaw these films. I don't see things getting better anytime soon under her jurisdiction. I mean, she said it was challenging making Star Wars because they had no source material. No source material. Are you serious? If Disney were actually going to knuckle down and have Simon Kinberg or Charmin Obaid-Chinoy create a proper narrative for a character, honestly, I would be so down for that. Give her trials and tribulations. Have her experience new things. Have her make mistakes and learn from them. Convince me that this Jedi Master you're trying to sell to me has lived through it all. Make me love her and make me hate her at the same time. Just make me feel things for a character. That's all I'm asking. But I somehow doubt it. Rey is a perfect golden child of Kathleen Kennedy, and God forbid if the writers propose to her that Rey has to be humbled in the slightest. And to that I say, you made your bed and you're gonna lie in it. That's all I have for today, folks. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and hopefully I will catch you in the next one. See you later.